All right, if you're an app developer, you know this dream, right? You want to focus on your users, build incredible features, and just ship things quickly. But there's always that one thing that seems to get in the way, the backend. Well, today, we're going to look at how to architect a solution with Firebase, a platform that promises to let you do exactly that. Focus on your users, not your infrastructure. So let's be honest for a second. You've got this killer idea for an app. The UI is looking slick, the features are all planned out, but what's the single biggest hurdle you're actually gonna face? What's that invisible wall that just grinds everything to a halt?
For so many developers, it's this, the backend. It's all that invisible, super complex machinery that has to work absolutely perfectly for your app to even function. It's the engine under the hood that nobody sees, but everybody depends on.
And yeah, that headache, it comes with a long and probably very familiar list of symptoms. You're not just building your app's cool features. You're stuck building a secure authentication system from the ground up. You're not just designing a slick UI. You're trying to manage and scale a database, just praying it doesn't crash if you get popular. You're losing sleep over latency, security, server maintenance. It's a whole mountain of work before your users ever see a single feature. But what if you could just sidestep most of that? I mean, really just skip it. This is exactly where Firebase steps in. It's designed from the ground up to be the serverless solution to that classic backend headache. You see, Firebase is what's called a backend-as-a-service, or BaaS for short. And honestly, the best way to think about it is like getting a prefabricated foundation for a house. Instead of you having to dig the trench, mix and pour the concrete yourself, you get this professionally built, ready-to-go base that you can just start building your amazing app right on top of. And that foundation wasn't built randomly. It was specifically engineered to solve the exact problems we were just talking about. The whole goal? Get your app to market way faster. Make data sync across all your users' devices in real time feel like actual magic. Handle scaling without you needing to become a DevOps genius overnight, and give you rock-solid security right out of the box. So what's actually in this thing? Let's crack open the toolkit and take a look at the core components that make it all tick. Okay, so at the heart of any backend, you've got data. But not all data is created equal, which is why Firebase doesn't just hand you one generic option. It gives you different data layers, each one tailored for a specific job. Now, the two heavyweights here are Firestore and the original real-time database. And you can see the key differences right here. On one hand, you've got Firestore. Its model is all about documents and collections, which is fantastic for apps that need complex, powerful queries. Think like an e-commerce store with lots of filtering. On the other hand, the real-time database is basically one giant JSON tree. It's ridiculously fast and simple for certain data structures, perfect for something like a live chat app. The key is picking the right tool for your app's specific needs. But hey, a backend is way more than just a database, right? So let's look at the 4 core services that you'll see working together in pretty much every Firebase project. Here they are, the core 4. First, you've got Authentication, which handles all your user sign-ins, with email, Google, all that stuff. Then there's Firestore, that powerful database we just talked about. Third, Cloud Functions. Think of these as little snippets of code that run automatically in response to events, like sending a welcome email the moment a new user signs up. And finally, you have Storage, which is just a big bucket for user-generated stuff like profile pictures and videos. See how they all fit together? It's a complete package. Okay, now for the part that really makes Firebase feel like pure magic, that real-time data sync. You know when you see a chat message instantly appear on your friend's phone? How does that actually happen? No, seriously, think about it for a second. How does a single change in a database, sitting in some data center thousands of miles away, show up on potentially millions of phones all at once, without anyone hitting a refresh button?
Well, it's this beautifully simple 4-step dance. First, your app basically raises its hand and says, hey, I want to listen for changes to this piece of data using a function like onSnapshot. That's step 1. Then, the Firebase SDK opens up a persistent, live channel all the way to the backend. The service on the other end starts watching that exact piece of data for you. And the moment it changes, this is the cool part, it doesn't send the whole thing back. It just pushes the tiny little change, the delta, down that live channel straight to your app.
And how fast is that push? The target is under 200 milliseconds. That's literally faster than the blink of an eye. It's so fast that to our brains, the update feels completely instantaneous. That's the magic right there.
Okay, this all sounds incredible, I know. But this isn't a silver bullet. It's time for a little reality check. When you use a managed platform like Firebase, you've got to talk about security. and the fundamental trade-offs that you're making.
You see, because your app on a user's phone is talking directly to your database, you don't have a traditional server sitting in the middle acting as a bouncer. And that means you absolutely 100% must define who can read and write what data using something called Firebase security rules. And here's a super simple example. On the left, you've got a rule that lets anyone on the internet read your data. That's a disaster waiting to happen. But on the right, you have a simple, secure rule. It just says, hey, only let people who are actually logged in read this data. That simple check is completely non-negotiable for any real app. And this all leads to the core trade-off. With Firebase, what you get is this incredible level of abstraction, which means way less operational work for you. But what you give up is fine-grained control over the servers. You get a super scalable data model, but it's not the same as a traditional SQL database that's fully ACID compliant, which might matter for things like financial apps. You're playing in a powerful, managed sandbox, and it is crucial to understand where the walls are. But at the end of the day, it all comes back to this one core philosophy. Focus on your users, not your infrastructure. The whole point of a platform like this is to take away the immense, headache-inducing complexity of building and scaling a backend. It's about freeing you up to do what you do best, building the amazing features that your users will actually see, interact with, and fall in love with. And that really leaves us with one last kind of huge question. As tools like Firebase get more and more powerful and they handle more of this heavy lifting for us, are we moving toward a future where most developers won't even need to think about servers at all? Is the future of how we build applications fundamentally serverless?